How's everybody doing? I'm not as loud as I usually am, partially because my daughter's trying to sleep, but I needed to do this given the way I was feeling and what I discovered today. Have you ever had the feeling that you just don't matter anymore? Well, I had that today. I had it more than once. I'm happy to say that I'm getting through it. But for a few hours this afternoon, if I may speak very, very freely, I thought it was over. In fact, I got that particular feeling after I signed off. Now, the guys don't know this, but I hope they understand why I'm doing this. Even though we had a great show, and I'm probably letting things get to me that shouldn't. And I get that. I get that. I do. I get that. I know my emotions may be completely out of control. And I know that. And a part of that has forced me, has caused for me to become a very emotional eater. I gotta quit that. I know that. I know it and I get that. Logically, I know it and I get it. But sometimes logic is a pain in the ass. Now, I'm not gonna wallow in this. I just need to get this out. For a long while this afternoon, even though I have been in front of my computer trying to knock out everything I need to knock out, even though I did some house chores today, and I'm very proud of that. Even though I, even though I felt like I did my best, there are still parts of the day where I felt like a complete and utter failure. And I'll tell you where all this stems from. My health problems the last 3 years, and people coming after me saying I don't matter, and people coming after me saying, why don't you just go back to work? I mean, hell, I got another cup of iced coffee sitting in front of me, and I haven't even drank half of it, and I'm not going to finish it either. I'm a very emotional eater and a very emotional person. Period. That part I've come to grips with. But in my battle with depression, there are points throughout the day where I don't feel like myself, where I feel like I don't matter, where I feel like, you know what? Will anyone miss me if I'm gone? Will anyone give a fuck that I'm gone? Will anybody even care that I'm gone? I actually have thought of those questions. For the longest time, I've thought of those questions, and I really mean that. I really mean it. Will anybody ever give a fuck if I'm gone? Now, I know logically there will be a lot of people who will miss me. I know that. I dig that. I do. But as my wife has said to me so many times, logically, I get it. Other times I don't. This is one of those times where I don't. I'm slowly starting to come back. But I got to tell y'all, I was in the dumps. I mean it. I was truly in the dumps. And I even started to ask myself, do I even matter? And I know the answer is yes. I know that. But put yourself in my head for a moment. There was just a part of the day where I felt like I didn't even matter. And it stems from a lot of things. And I know that. I know that now. Yes, Victor, I have a whole family there behind me. But please allow me to get these feelings out. And I know you're not one to judge. I know you're not. You've been my best friend for years. I know that. All I ask from y'all, I don't know how long this chapter is going to be, is to let me get these out so I can get them out of my system, get ready to take my daughter to work, and move on completely. I need to do this. At times when I was in the hospital, and at times even here at home, I mean, there's a part of my brain that always knows what's going on. This all of a sudden just hit me. I shouldn't be thinking the way I'm thinking. I know I shouldn't. But for a while, I did. I did. I'm slowly starting to come back to myself where I know better. But do you ever go through a part of your day or a part of your life where you think people just don't give a fuck about you? When you get to that point, some days it's so hard to bounce back from it. Some moments it's very hard to bounce back from it. Man, and I can tell you there are moments where I didn't think I would bounce back from it. Even today, even even today, I didn't give up though. I didn't give up, and I'm not going to. This is just one of those times where I just needed to put this microphone in front of me and get out what I'm feeling. People tell me all the time, man, you can just coast, you can just grind through anything. And for the most part, they're right. And for the most part today, I did. But there was a point in the day where I hit the wall. Even though I was away from my computer, even though I went outside a couple of times with my dog and with all of my cats, I just mentally hit the wall. I just mentally hit the wall. And I really thought, You know what? Who the fuck's gonna miss me if I'm gone? Who the fuck is gonna care? I have an answer to that now. I do. I have an answer to that now. But it took me a few hours to get it. Have you ever asked yourselves the question that a lot of men have asked themselves over many, many years? And that question is, do I even matter? After what I went through today, I can happily say, gentlemen, you do matter. More than anything. More than anything, you matter. And you got to keep that in mind, even though sometimes it's so hard to keep that in mind. Take it from someone who's there. It's so hard to keep in mind that you do matter, gentlemen. You do matter. If you don't matter to anybody else, make sure you matter to yourself, and don't put yourself in a situation where you are taking yourself out. That means my battle with emotional eating, my battle with depression, and I know quite a few people. No, change that. I know quite a few men that go through emotional eating and depression. The problem? We're not allowed to talk about it, which is bullshit. I'll talk about it, and I'll talk about it aloud. I will talk about it aloud because now that I'm slowly getting my strength back, my mental strength, the way I'm getting to function again, you all have to keep in mind that you do matter to yourself or to someone very dear to you and very important to you. For a few hours today, I didn't know that. For a few hours today, I didn't realize that. For a few hours today, I didn't think that. One of my escapes is sports. Another one of my escapes is the person I'm waiting on to come home to me. I made her a promise that I'd spend more time with her at night when she gets in. You know what, RC? If no one else will listen, I'll listen. Hell, people took time out of their day to listen to me. I'll extend the olive branch. It's the least I can do, going through the same things that I'm going through. I look back on what's happened to me the last 3 years, in particular the pancreatic cancer, and most recently my right toe being amputated. It threw me for a loop. It just threw me for an absolute loop. And I gotta be honest with y'all, there are some days I get fed the fuck up. I get fed up. I get fed the fuck up with everything that's happening and everything that's going on right now. With everything that's happened. I have been knocked upside the head so many times in the past 3 years. All with an effort to tell me to give it up. And believe me, there were a few times I nearly listened, but I'm not gonna listen. It's gonna take a minute for me to bounce all the way back. It's gonna take me a minute to get back into the groove. And I realize that it's gonna take a while for me to get back into the groove. But dang on it, I'm gonna. I'm gonna. There are days I won't be in a full groove, and I know that. And those are days I need to sleep. And not just all day either. And I can't sleep all day either, just a little bit. Realizing that today I wrote it down. I worked through lunch. I ate lunch late. And in a few minutes, I'm about to get the nap I need before I take my daughter to work. But I had to come on here first and take care of this. Because I want to tell you, gentlemen, when no one else thinks you matter, remember that you do matter. I'll say it again for those in the back. And I want y'all to listen to me. Okay? I want y'all to really listen to me. For the thousands of people that tell you you don't matter, there's a couple that tell you and remind you that you do matter. For many that tell you you don't matter, remember the few that tell you you do matter. I want y'all to remember that. I want y'all to remember that. For the many that tell you you don't matter, remember the few that tell you you do matter. And when that happens, that few will become many. This is a lesson old Snowman had to learn today. I had to learn this lesson, and I'll say it again. For the many who tell you you don't matter, remember the few who tell you you do matter. And the ones that mean it will continue to tell you. Period. The ones that mean it will continue to tell you that you matter. And as a friend of mine told me, it's up to you to believe it. I can honestly say for a while today I didn't, but now I do. Now I do. And I'm getting happier by the moment. But we all go through a point in a day. Maybe it takes a couple of days to hit, but it hits, especially with men who are conditioned and reminded not to talk about their feelings. I say unto y'all, fuck them. Talk about your feelings anyway. Get them out. You know, the biggest sector of suicide comes from men. And it's a simple reason to that. They're not allowed. And yes, I said allowed to talk about their feelings. They're not allowed to. Well, I say go with it. Talk about your feelings. Get them out. Get them out. Because the longer you hold them, the more problems and the more harm you'll do to yourself. Emotionally, then it becomes mentally, and unfortunately, in many cases, it becomes physical. Don't get to any of those points. Listen, gentlemen, I said it before and I'll say it again. I believe you and I believe in you. Period. I'll say it again. I believe you and I believe in you. I want you to look at another gentleman and I want you to say it. And I want you to say it with conviction. I believe you and I believe in you. This should be a rallying cry for men all over the world. What I'm about to post right now is my merchandise collection with that very phrase. Just remember, I believe you and I believe in you. Say it. I'll say it again for those of you in the back. I believe you and I believe in you. Next time on Diary of a Mad Snowman, Conflicted Feelings, Part 4. When a man goes through an abusive relationship, and you're talking to an example that has. Until next time, good night, everybody.